The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magla, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA-approved race and rally base layers. Welcome to Zolder in Belgium for the first round of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. This time we take a look at the high-speed touring cars in the Supersport and Sport classes and the Superlights Challenge, the championship for aerodynamically sophisticated prototypes. It's the 16th consecutive year of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli, and the touring car classes, Supersport and Sport, always provide plenty of action, and this year should be no different. Among the title favourites in Supersport is Erik van der Munkhoff with this BMW Z4 GTR. He's on the left, next to last year's Supersport champion Koen Boekarts giving the big thumbs up. Boekarts has opted to go endurance racing this season, and that leaves the crown wide open. So who will challenge Erik van der Munkhoff and Van der Pas Racing? For certain, Ferry Monster Autosport are likely to. Their latest generation Seat Leon debuted last season has been thoroughly developed over the winter to make it even more competitive. Drivers Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein are back in the car for a second year, and with the third fastest time in qualifying, look very competitive. The Lotus Van der Kooi racing team is back with their super fast Exige. Last year, Luc van Loon was coached by Jan van der Kool, and he showed great progress. This season, he's teamed up with his own father, Ronald van Loon, in the Blueberry Racing BMW 3 Series. Priscilla Spelman takes over the Lotus, joined by Jan van der Kooi, as they aim for the title in the Supersport class. Another strong entry among the BMW camp is Robert van den Berg, back with his 1 Series GTR, sharing this year with Huub Del Nooy, who was very competitive last year in a Lotus Exige.
Ik had eigenlijk niet verwacht dat ik dit seizoen zou rijden.
It's great, says Huub. I didn't see this coming. I didn't expect to have a drive at all this season. Actually, a week ago, Robert asked me if I wanted to join him and race in Supersport. I think you can probably guess what my answer was. We don't have the fastest car, we don't have the most power, we don't have the lowest weight, so it'll come down to the drivers making the difference in the races. If it comes down to on-track battles, I think we'll be very competitive for sure, so we'll just have to see how the season goes.
We gaan het zien.
Marcel van der Maat and Peter Scheuers should be in the mix with the orange M3 GTR BMW. Last year they looked strong, but technical problems threw a spanner in the works, but they start 2016 with pole position for the first race of the weekend.
Ja, lekker pole. Dus echt super hard voor gewerkt.
Feels really great to have pole, says Peter. We've worked really hard all winter. All credit goes to the team. They've really pulled it off and given us a perfect car. So we're in top shape. The car's great. The team is highly motivated. No complaints at all. Everything looks good for some good results this weekend. Well, let's see how it all works out for them in race 1. For the 60-hour Enduro, the GTs start at the front, but the Supersport and Sport classes are right in there in the same grid. Peter Scheuers manages to hold his first place at the start. Second, Erik van der Munkhoff. Dennis de Borst dropping back with an engine problem. Van der Munkhoff close to Scheuers in the hospital curve. He attacks the orange BMW right alongside. Van der Munkhoff briefly gets his nose in front, but he has a minor misfire as well. Scheuers retakes the lead on the outside. Robert van den Berg behind with a 1 Series GTR now gets in the mix as well. On the wrong side of the road for the Jackie Ick chicane, Van Loon in the blue and white BMW goes around the outside. Van Loon alongside Erik van der Munkhoff, passing him on the straight now. The Porsches in the GTB class are in the middle of this battle, but of course they're in their own race. Ronald van Loon takes second behind Peter Scheuers and Ernst de Linkse, but this time Van der Munkhoff will not let it go, retaking second, under braking at the very next turn. But by this stage, race leader Peter Scheuers has escaped. Peter Scheuers and Marcel van der Maat couldn't hold on to the lead though after the pit stop. The race ended in a big cloud of smoke. That looks expensive, and tough luck for the BS Racing team. They look to be heading to their first Supersport win. It wasn't just the end of this race either, it was the end of their weekend because the engine was a goner. Ronald and Luc van Loon here had problems after a collision. They took third, though, behind Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein, who recovered well from early problems in the Seat. But the first win of the season went to Erik van der Munkhoff. Had an amazing race at Erik. Sometimes it was a little tricky, especially when it started to drizzle. But it was great. Didn't really affect the handling too much, so no real problems. I'm really happy to take the first win of the season. Fantastic result. The sport class is going to be tough to call as well. Belgians Chris Vogt and Bart van den Broek are back with their Peugeot RCZ, which debuted in 2015 with this French Cup car. They had a lot of work to do on the setup, but they got onto the podium mid-season, even winning races. Championship stalwarts Spirit Racing return with their Renault Clios. There are 3 RS Cup cars this year for Rob Neiman, Stan van Oord and Jos Veldboer. New in the sport class is this 135i BMW run by Davy Tech Engineering. Bart Drost, a former motorcycle racer, shares it with Niels Kool.
Bart heeft afgelopen jaar ook met een BMW gereden.
Teaming up with Bart for the first time. Last year Bart started car racing, that was in a BMW as well. Sport class title is our aim for this year. Hopefully we'll be able to make some good progress throughout the season. Right now we're almost at the end of qualifying. Looks like we might have pole for both races. So hopefully it'll stay like that. Well, they did indeed get pole position. It wasn't a good qualifying session though for Stan van Oord in the first race of the season in the Supersport class. It doesn't get much better. The tightly packed field, trouble in the hospital bend, and he can't avoid running into the Lotus Exige of Carleen Bergsma. Jon van der Voort is hit from behind. He spins, everybody checks up, but Van Oord has got nowhere to go. All over without even doing a single lap. Some sort of traffic jam in hospital corner. Somebody was stationary on the exit. I misjudged it completely. I thought Lotus in front could get around the stopped cars, but she braked hard instead. I just ran into her. Almost went over her. The car's wheels are completely off the ground. I don't know what the damage will be. Hopefully the team can fix it for tomorrow's race. Really tough to start the season like this. Hopefully we'll fix the damage and that'll be it for the season. And we can then leave this problem behind us. The Van der Kooi Racing Team Lotus of Carleen Bergsma and Peter de Jong is also badly damaged. They are able to continue and they managed to grab 7th in class at the end of the race. Bit of a scrabble and another tank tape special to start the season. The winners are newcomers Bart Drost and Niels Kool. A strong debut in the BMW 135i then. Second goes to the Peugeot duo Chris Vogt and Bart van den Broek. And third, Jon van der Voort and Benjamin van den Berg with their BMW 1 Series. Drama comes in the second race, 90 minutes long, right at the very beginning, and not from the Sport and Super Sport classes, but from the Super GTs. The Volvo of Henry Zumbrink trying to go around the outside of the pole, sitting Ligier. There's contact, he spins, and everybody else has to shuffle up to avoid contact. Ronald van Loon drops a place to Martin de Klein in the Seat as Erik van der Munkhoff gets away. And he built an early lead ahead of the Seat. The BMWs are stuck behind a Porsche GTB class battle. Huub Del Nooy in 4th at that stage. Priscilla Spelman later catches him in the Lotus. The battle for 4th place in Supersport going the way of the lightweight British sports car. Using the nimble handling of the Exige, she slips by the BMW. Second place Martin de Klein meanwhile keeps the Seat close to leader Van der Munkhoff in the first part of the race, and with fewer result seconds they start the second part of the 90-minute enduro with Dennis de Borst looking strong. Martin says very happy finally to be very competitive with the Seat. Dennis is doing great lap times. Not sure we're a match for the BMW of Van Loon though. Looks as though we won't be able to stay in front. He's catching fast, but we certainly can't complain about our pace. Early leader Erik van der Munkhoff dropped back as a result of his 15 result seconds and brake problems as well. And with Loic van Loon's BMW setting the fastest race lap, it was inevitable that he was going to catch the Seat. And once with it, he was able to get by as well, taking the lead under braking for the Eerste Linkse, the first left-hand corner on lap 36. The BMW over half a second quicker on its fastest lap. Loic van Loon got in front and started to pull away. He held the lead until lap 49, but it all ended in tears. Right rear drive shaft failure, robbing the team of their first ever win with the car. Father Ronald looks distraught, Luke a little phlegmatic about it. He said it was just too good to be true. It was going great. Bigger and bigger lead every lap. I was already thinking about the win. First place with my dad. That would have been something fantastic, but it wasn't to be. Well, that put the Seat back in the lead, but in the closing stages, right up to the final lap, they were chased down by Jan van der Kooi in the Lotus. And on the final tour towards the Jack Hicks chicane, it got very close indeed in traffic. But to the delight of Dennis de Boerst, the Seat managed to hang on, claiming victory in a drag race to the line by 1/10 of a second. Not their first win with the Seat, but one that they really had to fight for. Priscilla Spellman, Jan van der Kooi second with the Lotus, Erik van der Munkhoff third in the BMW. At the end of a topsy-turvy race. Unbelievable. Really intense, Dennis. I had to give it everything. I didn't even dare look in the rearview mirror. I was focused only on doing 41s, nothing else. And that managed to get us the race win. Feels great. And they have a 1-point lead in the championship over Erik van der Munkhoff as they leave Zolder. Catching up with the sport class now, a lap in. Ollie Taylor in the yellow and black E36 M3 retaking second place after losing it at the start. Taylor new to Zolder but showing great pace. In Saturday's race he led until he dropped out with mechanical problems. Taking the lead again in race 2 at the Villeneuve chicane. Bart Drost in the BMW in front can't hold on in the 1 Series. A few laps earlier, Stan van Oord claimed 5th position in Jackie Ick chicane, passing John van der Voort in the white 1 Series BMW, while Karin Bergsma behind that was damaged in the first race, the Lotus in 7th place. On board with Van Oord in the replay, there's the Lotus right in front, piling the pressure on, the Clio clearly looking faster, and he makes Karin Bergsma defend on the inside. She then drifts out wide, he's got the run, the tighter inside line, and he gets through on the inside up to the Lucian Bianchi corner. Done deal. Disaster then for leader Ollie Taylor, crashing in the hospital corner heavily as the brakes fail on the M3. A lot of damage to the car, but fortunately, because of the strength of modern racing cars and the quick work of the rescue crews, no major injuries. Bart Drost then found himself back in the lead in the 3.5 litre BMW 1 Series, but on lap 22, just before the pit stops, the BMW was clearly struggling. Chris Vogt in the Peugeot RCZ just breezing alongside. Clearly the BMW not able to keep up its race pace, so Vogt came in as leader, Bart van den Broek taking over during the mandatory stops. Result seconds play a big part here. There's 10 seconds for the Peugeot drivers because they were second in race 1, 15 for Drost and Kool, and 5 for Van der Voort and Van den Berg, but none for Harold Wesselink and Henk Tappel's BMW 1 Series, which led. But they lost that lead after a major battle with Bart van den Broek. The Peugeot taking the lead on lap 37 and holding it to the flag. Wesselink and Happel in second, and Stan van Oord claiming a podium spot in third. Very tight battle for almost the entire race, said Bart van den Broek. I've got to say it's one of the best races I've driven over the last couple of years. Very exciting. I got past him a couple of laps beforehand, but I didn't want to risk a drive-through penalty because I had to cut the track at the chicane, so I let him get by. And that happened a couple of times. The third time, though, it was all clean, managed to stay in front. Great result. And it's the Peugeot drivers who lead the championship as they head away from Zolder, 4 points ahead of Bart Drost and Niels Kool, the closest of their rivals. And that's the end of the weekend for the Supersport and Sport classes, but there's more to come because Zolder was also the opening round in the Superlights Challenge, the championship for nimble sports cars and sports prototypes. Stay with us. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magla, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA approved race and rally base layers. Welcome back to Zolder for the first round of the Superlights Challenge powered by Pirelli, the championship that features highly sophisticated sports prototypes divided into two classes, Group 1 and Group 2. Group 1, the most recent models of the CM prototype, like the Norma M20 FC, the full carbon fibre edition, and it's this kind of car that the Belgian Del Diche racing team used to win last year's championship with drivers Luc de Kock and Sam de Jonge. They return this season, but de Kock has teamed up this year with Tim Joosten, last year one of their biggest rivals. The car is different this year as well. The car's aerodynamics have been upgraded, explains Tim. The front splitter and basically the complete nose is different. It's got a lower front end, the split has been improved, it's more efficient. Same goes for the shape of the wheel arches, and that makes the whole aerodynamic package more efficient. That gives you more grip at the front, but it also means you've got a completely different balance to the car compared to the previous one. And that means a completely new setup is needed. The things are looking good. We're already in the 1:30s here at Zolder. Better lap times definitely could be coming, and we'll get there for sure. Last year he was their rival, so how has Tim Jossen ended up in the Deldi's racing team? Well, Luc de Kock says the answer is simple. Last year Tim said to me, "Don't you want to know what the car will really do? I'm sure it can teach Sam de Jonge a thing or two." So there you go. Of course we had to put that into practice and try and put Sam in his place, which might be a little bit of a mission impossible, but we'll try. Within the Deldi's racing team is going to be another battle because David Hotoft has made the switch to Group 1 with exactly the same Norma M20 FC. I'm really going to have to get used to this car, especially in the braking. Really going to have to push myself a lot. Last training session at Zolder was last Thursday with pro driver Frederik Vervisch, and with his experience I gained lots of knowledge, but I've still got a long way to go to learn this car. Bascarton Racing returned to Group 1 with their Wolf GB08, this year driven by Rob Campus and Leon Reinbeck. Leon says it's not going to be an easy race weekend. I haven't done any practice beforehand, unfortunately, so I'm going to start race 2 without much experience. Rob will do the first race the weekend. I've looked at the data and the onboard video with the engineers, and they told me when things are getting tricky steering into the corners, you're not going fast enough. Of course, there are limits there, and I've got to try and find the limit, but I do know that the cornering speeds are huge. Lead battle in race 1 between Luc de Kock in the Norma and Rob Campus in the Wolf GB08. Campus trying everything he can, but the ex-Radical driver has very little experience with the Wolf. Following right behind the Norma, cuts the downforce on the nose of his car, making it hard to handle, as you see here in the Villeneuve chicane. Luc de Kock won the title last year in the Norma, knows it like the back of his hand, and he makes no mistakes. Neither does Tim Jossen in the second stint of the 50-minute encounter. He and Luc de Kock win the season opener, with David Hotoft, their teammate, in third. Rob Campus taking second place.
Top auto, echt die Wolf is wel waanzinnig.
Amazing car, amazing machine, he says. The cornering speed's insane. Bascarton Racing's done a fantastic job, so motivated, so precise, so professional. Not the biggest grid we've ever seen, but I really enjoyed this race. Group 2 is for the older generation CN prototypes and cars like the Praga R1 and Radical SR3. This is Dominic Dierkes back with his carbon fibre SR3, and much is expected of Bart Ooms. He knows the SR3 well. This is his home track, so hopefully he'll go well. And he puts his plans into action by winning the first race of the season, while the competition is nowhere with mechanical woes. All went according to plan, says Bart, but we got a lot of understeer with the car. Keep struggling with the setup. It's been a problem all weekend. Hopefully we'll get it sorted out. Clearly it's not such a big issue though. Managed to win the race. Really impressed with the organisation. It was fantastic, a fun race. Really enjoyed myself. Into race 2 on board with Bart Ooms, challenging pole sitter in Group 2 Patrick Engelen in his Norma M20F. That's the car, the red on the outside. Estelinxa Milan Doncha takes 4th place in Group 1, having started from the back of the grid as a guest driver. David Hotoft taking 2nd place, pushing Leon Reinbeck back down to 3rd spot. Ligier having problems with the big tyres, not getting enough heat in them quickly in these sunny but very cold conditions. And that means that Patrick Engelen is able to challenge the LMP3 Ligier for 4th. Towards the first chicane, Fiona James on the attack. Dominic Dierkes, though, has the better line for 3rd place in Group 1 and hangs on. And behind them, the Ginetta LMP3 also moving forward, another guest car. Tim Jossen with the lead in the new Norma. David Hotoft, his teammate, in 2nd place. Leon Reinbeck 3rd in the Wolf, and Milan Doncha charging through the field in the Ligier LMP3. But Leon Reinbeck is forced into the pits before the mandatory stops, losing 3rd place. Rob Campus complained about gearbox problems in race 1. Bascarton Racing trying to fix it, but it seems to have returned. Reinbeck clearly not amused, having lost his hold on a top 3 position. He would finish 4 laps down. Milan Doncha in the Ligier, hunting down the Norma M20 FC, the LMP3 car capable of being much faster, around a second a lap quicker in theory. And Milan slowly coming up to that speed. Of course, the engine power greater from the Nissan V8 compared to the 2-litre Honda engine. And Doncia also outbrakes Huttoft at the Jackie Ick chicane on lap 5. Doncia then starts to close down Tim Josen, the race leader, but as the mandatory pit stops come around, he is still in front of the Ligier, coming in to hand over to Luc de Kock. Can they keep their lead, or will the speed of the LMP3 be too great? I knew that Milan Doncia had to start from the back and he'd make his way forward quickly. Team kept me informed about my lead. After a lap it was 7 seconds, then it was 5, then 3. I gave it everything, couldn't break a 1 minute 30 unfortunately, bit disappointed, but it was good fun. Most important thing now is just have to wait and see what the outcome will be. There's still half an hour to go. But Milan Doncia dominated the second Superlight race to win it without any further mistakes. Second place Tim Josen, Luc de Kock. Third for David Huttoft. The Normans behind the faster, more powerful Ligier LMP3. Very pleased, said Milan Doncia. I was given the chance to compete in the Superlights Challenge, and of course I couldn't say no. Perfect opportunity to test the cars. In theory, the Group 1 cars should be comparable in terms of downforce and power to weight, but I think my car is a bit faster, and I'm delighted to put everything into practice here. With a win and a second place, Luc de Kock and new teammate Tim Josen lead the standings from Rob Campus and Leon Reinbeck, but the Ligier LMP3 looks a threat. After years driving a Lamborghini Gallardo, Fiona James made her Superlights Challenge debut with this Praga R1, a car that requires a whole different driving technique because of its low weight and high downforce. But she's a quick learner just as well, because learning a car like this means exploring the boundaries, and she's found the limit at least once. Came in to replace the left front wheel after she flat spotted the tyre, but would still finish the race in 4th. Dominic Dierkes held on to 3rd in the lime green and black Radical SR3 with its carbon fibre body parts made by his own company DD Compound. He didn't finish race 1 after his starter broke. Battle for the lead between Bart Ooms in his Radical and Patrick Engelen in the Norma M20. After the pit stops, Ooms was faster than Christian Holtappels, who took over from Engelen, so he won the second race of the weekend as well. Great race, lovely weather, everything was perfect, said Christian. Shame we had some problems in the first race, had to do a lot of work on the car, but that's part of racing as well. 2 wins for Bart Ooms on his home circuit of Zolder means he has the championship lead. Fiona James and her debut in the Praga R1 already in second place in the points. Next time out, Oschersleben in Germany, round 2 for the GTs and the Sport divisions, a 60-minute sprint race and the 90 minutes enduro. And you'll see all the action here on Motors TV. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Magla, create your own digital magazine, and Valero, FIA-approved race and rally base layers.